Hi everyone. I wanted to actually go over a question we got on one of the boards that that I work on, and it's a very interesting one. Basically, what we have here is we have a roster, a payment roster. Basically, these guys worked on that date. Here, they time in. This is their actual time in, clock in time, and this is their clock out time. So time in, time out. And the name of the crew member. Now on this side here we have the actual crew member's name and the rate of pay that crew member is supposed to be getting. So the objective here is to basically assess how many hours this person was paid, and then match the crew on site with the pay rate, then calculate the pay. It's a 3 steps minimum, but it can get kind of convoluted, so we're going to go through it step by step. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and calculate the hours worked. Thank goodness for this, that we have time in and time out as in this format. There are times when date formulas can get kind of complicated because they're not very straightforward. But in this case, it is very straightforward. So what we can do is we can actually just do a simple, we can do the minus, actually. Let's see if we can do the minus. And I think it's this one. Okay, hold on a second. This one and that. Yes, the other way around. So we'll go for autofill here. So here we have the hours worked, and they're in the formula, and they're in the format of 7 hours, 0 minutes, XYZ. So what we're going to do is I'm going to move over to this side format because I wanted to first tackle the part where we're going to have to convert this hours worked into the decimal format. In order for us to do that, what we need to do is kind of think about it a little bit. If we need it to be in the decimal format, which means that we need to drop it down to the next lowest level, which is minutes. To do that, we're going to go ahead and play around with a couple of formulas, or at least with one formula in a couple of different formats. So in order for us to convert the hours to decimals, we need to, of course, convert the hours to minutes, and then convert the minutes, add the minutes to it, and then convert that to a decimal form. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to build it out a little bit. So I'm going to play around with the formula. So for hours worked decimal, the first one. Actually, let's take the second one because we can see that a little bit much easier. The first one is just straightforward 7 hours. This one is actually 7 hours 25 minutes. So what we're going to do is first, let's go ahead and multiply the hours by 60. So what we're going to do here is go equals multiply the hours here, which require us to use hour for this, and then 60. Let's get rid of one of these. Okay, so what we're seeing here is that we have 420 minutes, which is correct. So now we're going to have to find a way to incorporate the minutes into that. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually add the minutes to that multiplication. Again, a very straightforward formula. Add. Right, add takes in 2 parameters, the value 1 and value 2. And we're going to add the minutes. So we're going to take out the minute part, extract the minute part from that hours worked, and add it. So now we have 445 minutes. Now we're going to have to go ahead and divide that 445 minutes by 60 in order to get the decimal. So again, we bring this formula and we're going to go divide. Again, divide takes a couple of parameters, so we're going to divide it by 60. And as we see here, we have 7.42. Oops, let's go and copy this right down here. Might not go down. Okay, so we have 7.42. So here we have 7¼ hours, which is correct because it's 15 minutes. So we have the hours now converted into a decimal format that we can work with. Now, as far as getting the pay rate, here's where we're going to go into index match. If you haven't used index match before, I actually have a post and a video about that, and I'll put the links to those in my description of this video. And we're going to go ahead and do a quick index match here. So we're going to match bill to bill's rate. So equals, and do index, and we're going to take the entire table, make sure we anchor it, so press F4 to anchor it so that it doesn't shift whenever we move the formula. And now we're going to go and match the row. So the search key we're going to look for, the search key is this. So let's go ahead and anchor this with the correct. We want the rows to change, but we want the columns to stay the same. So we're going to match that against this particular column right here. Again, we're going to anchor that completely. And we're going to take a look at the second column here. So we're going to look at 2. I'm sorry, 0. The other part comes later. So it's going to be an exact match. If we put in anything else, or we leave it blank, if we actually leave it blank, I believe the default is the exact match, but if we put in like -1 and +1, we're not going to get the correct answer. So for this one, we just put in absolutely the exact match and keep it 0. So let's go ahead, excuse me, and go back into the index formula. And in this case, in the index formula, since we're looking at 1 and 2 columns, we're going to make sure to point this formula to column 2 so that we get, see, we already have it. That bill is going to be a 2466. Okay, so let's go ahead. And now it's going to ask us to autofill. Of course, go ahead and autofill. And voila. Now, of course, all we need to do now is multiply those two numbers. And again, autofill. So what we can do now is that we can actually combine the two in one big formula. How we do that is we do that piece by piece. So again, here we see N4. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to just copy the formula here. Excuse me. Grab this. And then just basically substitute it here. Okay. And then also grab this formula right here. And substitute it here. course, when you do that, it's going to come out in its raw format, and that's fine. But yeah, you can go ahead and kind of shift that down if you'd like. Again, that's something if you want to do, but what we did when we broke it down to the pay rate and then broke down the hours worked, it worked just fine. But I kind of like to have things in one formula. It can complicate things sometimes, but that's just how things are. Alright, of course, give this a try. Let me know what you think in the comments. Of course, if you like this content, like, subscribe, and comment. I appreciate every one of the comments that you guys have put in, and let me know what you think. And of course, again, I will put in the description the link to my blog post for the index match explanation, as well as the video going into that, an example for that. Okay, thanks and have a great evening.